Hello everyone, welcome back to Powerful Nothing and Magic the Gathering Cube podcast. I'm your host Dan, and as always, I'm joined by James. James, how's it going? You feeling festive?
I'm feeling festive, yeah. I think when this comes out, we'll be post-festive period, so I guess I'm
Right.
Need to remove myself from the festive mindset. You know, it's done, it's happened, and we're in a future world.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so we're in the future. So we've had Christmas, but we're still very full from a large amount of Christmas Day food. Right,
that's
cool,
true.
marvelous. Perfect, right.
I'm no longer excited for Christmas dinner. I'm excited for leftovers of Christmas dinner.
Yeah,
right.
that's good.
That's the mindset we need to adopt for this podcast.
As you're listening to this, dear viewer, assume we're eating a fancy sandwich. That's the best way to describe it. Cool. But yeah, we're back with our final episode of the year. We're taking a little break after this. Today, we're just going to have a nice little fireside chat about 2025. We're going to do a little year in review. As always, before we jump in, please give the podcast a 5-star review, tell a friend. All that good stuff greatly helps us out. Also, any card we talk about, we will put a card gallery down in the show notes if you want to check that out. We do try and read them out, but it just helps if there's any kind of, we get too excited and just kind of don't talk about a card in great detail. And also, obviously, there'll be time codes if you want to jump around to a specific set that we talk about or a specific topic. That'll be down below if you want to jump around as well. But yeah, James, 2025, hell of a year in Magic. We've had 6 main sets. You wrote this note down, and it's kind of 1,500 new cards came out this year. That's such a large amount. We've also seen big changes to standard rotation. Standard is now 3 years. There's now 6 sets a year is now a big change. There used to be 4, obviously. And Universes Beyond came to Constructed. We're going to be looking at all of those and how they've affected the greatest format in all of Magic, and maybe the greatest format because it hasn't been as affected by other formats as those. We're going to be talking about how Cube has been in 2025. So Wizards sounded the starting gun in 2025 with our first set of the year, the Interplanar Racing set of Aetherdrift. So for Cube, Aetherdrift had a bunch of cool cards. But kind of what was your thoughts of Aetherdrift as a whole? Like, did you get the racing vibe from the set? Did that kind of carry over to the cards for you?
Yeah, I mean, thematically, I think that for me, the set didn't really work. I think this was very much what they call a hat set, right? There's not a lot of world building going on here. There's not a lot of depth. It's kind of just we got all the cards, but we make them. We put race cards on them, and now they're Aetherdrift cards. So yeah, thematically a miss for me, but mechanically I think a hit. The limited format was really fun. We got to block with green creatures. That's always nice. And there were some really cool cube cards here, right? So yeah, I think the flavor criteria for me was a big miss. Bugs the worst of the year, but I think most of the rest of the set was pretty good.
Yeah. In my opinion, a lot of cool individual cards, but yeah. Outside of there being slightly more vehicles than other sets, didn't super feel. I didn't get the feel of speed. Like there was the mechanic start your engines, but that could have been named anything else, and I think it would have given the same feel. I didn't get the feel of and again, maybe it's impossible. Maybe it's impossible to design a mechanic apart from haste that gets the feeling of a race across to the audience, but then if that's kind of their fault for choosing a race as a theme for a set. I
did find it quite funny that they made a racing set and it was the slowest limited format we'd had in 3 years. That was great. Perfect work. Start your engines was very generic. Could have been anything. And also, I don't know about you, I'm kind of done with vehicles. I don't think they work that well. It feels like the only ones that are ever good are the ones that are such a low, basically crew 1, and then it's such a small cost, it may as well not be a vehicle, right? The ones where they bump up the crew cost to give you more stats or whatever just never really play out well. And
For me, I want another couple of big. I like the idea of the vehicle reanimator deck. There's just not enough bits for it yet. So I like the idea of like printing another. What's the like Parhelion that spits out angels and another like Grease Fang, like something like that. So it becomes a full rounded package. But yeah, generally, like for me, I agree with you, but I like the vehicles where it does feel more like a aura, if that makes sense. Like you're upgrading a creature. It doesn't mean they can't be cool vehicles, but yeah, I do agree with you. Like there's spoilers for some of my opinions on a later set. I do think vehicles are a lot better than Station, but we'll get to that when we talk about Edge of Eternities. But were there any cards specifically that stood out for you for Cube, James? Like what were your favorite cards from the set that you've enjoyed playing in Cube this year?
And I think the big one here has to be Stock Up, right? Stock Up was absolute home run.
A card I famously said was bad and you shouldn't play it.
Yeah. You said you said we're not allowed to play Divinations and it's 2025.
Jesus, it's still $8.
It's so good. It's dig through time, but you don't have to delve. Yeah, no, this card's insane. And it's also, because I think this has been like one of the most impactful Cube cards of the year, right? And it's kind of cool that one of the impactful Cube cards was not like a creature with 15 million lines of text, right? And it's just and there's no gimmicks. It's just like, okay, this is like the rate that we now need for 2 and a blue, draw some cards. And it's a great card.
I will read it just because we are waxing lyrical about it. So Stock Up is 2 and a blue sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So yeah, five cards is a lot of card selection. I still don't think it's actually in my cube. Maybe because it's too expensive and I can't be asked to spend that on a common. When it gets reprinted, an uncommon. When it gets reprinted, then I'll consider putting it in. Or for some reason in my house, we have like 20 German packs of Aetherdrift, so maybe I'll start cracking them over the Christmas that has just happened. Damn time. Maybe I'll start looking for one, I guess. Maybe I'll stock up on stock ups.
Yeah. Seems like a good move. The other cards I kind of want to talk about from this set was Monument to Endurance. I kind of like this one. It's obviously not one for every cube. This is the 3-mana artifact. Whenever you discard a card, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. You can draw a card, create a treasure, or each player loses 3. This, I think, is pretty cool. I think if you're doing the discard thing, this is actually really good. It's if you have that repeatable discard out there, right? Like your first discard is upgraded into a loot. If you're actually looting with your first discard, it's become like a draw 2 discard 1. And making a treasure gives you ways to cast for new cards. And it also gives you a way to close the game. I think this is actually pretty powerful. It's in the Mitgo cube now, and I lost to someone who went turn 2 Psychic Frog, turn 3 Monument to Endurance. Now, you could argue that had more to do with Psychic Frog than Monument to Endurance, but it was kind of powerful, right? Like, they like, the first discard of turn is free, like, they're just, like, looting and putting counters on their thing. And then they start draining me, and they make treasure. It was very good. Now, sure, Psychic Frog's broken with everything, and honestly, the cubes I'm really excited for Monument Endurance, lower power level than Psychic Frog. But I think if you're like leaning into that discard matters thing, I think this is really cool. I don't know, I want to activate a Bazaar of Baghdad with this in play.
Very solid. And yeah, actually, so for me, the main thing I liked about Aetherdrift, like it was also part of one of the commander decks, had a bunch of cards for this kind of discard, like discarding was a theme in this set. Like we also got like Marauding Mako, that's single red 1/1 cycling 2, and whenever you discard 1 or more cards, put that many +1 counters on this creature. Like that has seen a bit of play, like with Bazaar of Baghdad. Like basically, this set made Bazaar of Baghdad better. There's also a card like Hashaton, Scarabus Fist. Like primarily, that's a commander card, but there are cubes where I think this is very cool. It's white and a black for a 1/3. Whenever you discard a creature card, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do create a tapped token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. There's some cool things you can do with this card. Like there's also like Cryptcaller Chariot and Chandra Spark Hunter. They kind of just added a bit of extra, just some more options to that discard mattery type deck. And yeah, I don't think any of the ones I've just mentioned are getting into like vintage cube. Although Marauding Mako potentially I might see some play in higher power level cubes, but like none of the cards I just mentioned are like getting into the vintage power cube. But like they are cool build around cards if you're trying to do the cycling or discard deck in lower powered or more budget cubes. I think that there's a bunch of cool cards from Aetherdrift that added to that basically.
Yeah, for sure. I really like Hashton, actually. I've got it in Dual Commander Cube, and I'm really excited to draft a Hashton deck at some point. It sounds very powerful.
Yeah, it's one I want to build as a commander, but I think everyone built it as a commander. But I guess one of the things about it is there is a bunch of different ways to, like, you can take it. I think I bought the single rather than buying the commander deck. Maybe there's something I should look at, because, yeah, I do like the look of that card. I think it's a very sweet card. But after we went racing, this was probably my most hyped set of the year going into it. We went back to Tarkir with Tarkir Dragorstorm. James, Tarkir was your first set, wasn't it? So I'm assuming you were quite hyped about going back to Tarkir in this iteration. Like, how did you find the set? Did it live up to your expectations? Did you get what you wanted out of the set?
I enjoyed drafting it. I drafted it a bunch. I think my expectations were very high. I was a little bit disappointed in the like mechanically how the limited format played out and how it was balanced specifically. Because they were obviously they're trying to make 3-color work, right? But the 3-color themes weren't quite strong enough, and the fixing was too good was the problem. So it all just drifted into like 5-color soup. And they had obviously dragon synergy cards as well, which exist across all 5 colors and really want you to have a bunch of dragons. So it just means like if you see a powerful gold dragon, you just take it and splash it. And that makes all your other Dragon Matters cards better. And it all just drifts towards, like, there's actually not really a reason to be like Sultai most of the time. I'm just going to be 5 colors. Because the 5-color fixing was that good. And yeah, it's kind of a shame. There wasn't, and it kind of ended up in a state of like the pillars of the format were 5-color dragons, which there'd be like, 3 or 4 people drafting that at most tables. And then there was a red-white aggro deck, which like wasn't actually good in terms of like, if you compared it to aggro decks in other formats, it was less good. But when the default thing is 5-color, like I play a Manolith type card on turn 3, it was like just about good enough to punish that a little bit, And yeah, it would have been nicer if there were, and not to say like there wasn't anything else you could do, but that was just how a lot of the drafts would end up if you were, trying to maximize your win rate. And it would have been cool if there were more reasons to end up doing other stuff, I shouldn't say I didn't enjoy drafting the set. Like it was cool and there was other cool stuff you could do, but they could have done a little bit better with this one.
No, that's fair. I think it's always going to be the thing of Tarkir was such a beloved set that whenever you return to the well, it's always going to be hard to live up to things like that. Like the expectations was so high. Like I personally I thought Harmonize really struggled as a mechanic. I think it has potential, but just the way it Harmonize felt very safe in this set. I thought for me there was like I really liked Omens as a mechanic, though. It's kind of like adventures, but they shuffle back into your deck afterwards, so you can play them again. Like there's some, I think it was you who told me, like, just like you had the dragon board wipe that you just played infinitely until your opponent milled out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Omens are cool because they do the thing as well where you when you cast them, you are adding more gas back into your deck, right? Which is nice. Yeah. And it means sometimes the split cards, you're you don't cast the cheap half because you want to save the expensive half until later. And with these, well, sure, the expensive half isn't in your hand anymore, but it is still in your deck, so you can draw back to it later. I thought Omens played well. And also, they were just a way to let you play more dragons in your limited deck, right?
Yes.
Which is the thing. Because dragons have the issue that they just aren't cheap dragons.
They're all 8 mana.
Exactly.
And
you can only put so many 8-drops in your deck, and this lets you put more, which is good.
Yeah, Omens is something I could see them doing again. Like it sounds very Kaldheim, if I'm honest with you, but
that's a good shout.
And then we can see that again.
Yeah, maybe Giants could have Omens too,
That would be cool. Nice, yeah, that'll be fun. Any cards specifically stick out to you, James? What were your favourite cards for Cube from Tarkir Dragonstorm?
I really liked the big Ugin, Ugin Eye of the Storms.
Yeah, let's read that one quickly. That's 7 mana Ugin, comes in with 7 starting loyalty. When you cast this spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colours. Whenever you cast a colourless spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colours. It has a +2 of you gain 3 life and draw a card. It has a 0 of add 3 generic mana. And a -11 of search your library for any number of colourless non-land cards, exile them, then shuffle. Until end of turn, you may cast those cards without paying their mana cost. Well, that's definitely a win gone. Yeah, James, where has Ugin seen the most play, would you say? Like what kind of decks does it show up in?
Yeah, I like this in sort of the big mana artifact decks in pretty high power level cubes. Like Power Cube or anything adjacent to that, I think Ugin is kind of the payoff you want at the 7 mana slot. Mere Battlesphere is showing its age a little bit. This is kind of what you need instead. It's really powerful. It's the gain life part with that draw card is I think low-key very important, because if you untap with this, it's generally kind of over, it just does so much for you. You can any color spell vindicating them is so powerful that and for things, it comes in on 7 loyalty. 7 is insane.
Much. Yeah.
They're not going to be able to kill it with damage, so they kind of have to go attack you, try and kill you rather than kill this most of the time. It goes up to 9 loyalty. What are you going to do to that? But if they attack you, you also gain 3 life. So it's it's a hard card to fight through. And obviously it gets something on the way in. So yeah, really powerful. I think this is kind of a payoff that the big mana decks needed in the high power level cubes to hang in the world of Ragavans and Ajanis and all that.
No, definitely. There's another card we should probably touch on. Banned in Standard, and that's Corey Steelcutter. 1 red artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and haste. It can equip for 1 red. It also has Flurry. Flurry was a mechanic from this set, which whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess, and you may attach this equipment to it. So James, Corey Steelcutter, obviously proven its place in Magic and its place in Cube just by being a very good, very aggressive card. Yeah, this can get through for a lot of damage, and especially in Cube where you're running a lot of cheap, efficient spells, just going to make a bunch of tokens and just going to keep getting through for damage. Yes, they can answer the token that this is attached to, but you could just play 2 spells again and you have a threat again. Corey's got a very broken Magic card. How have you found it play in Cubes this year? Yeah,
when you have the right deck for it, it's really, really powerful. Just because it's harder to remove artifacts and creatures, obviously. And this, when it goes right, this kind of has Monastery Mentor vibes, right? But they can't kill it.
Yes.
And it only costs 2 mana. It really puts a premium on if you can get a couple of zeros into your deck. This set was very good for the stock of Mishra's Bauble, the flowing mechanic.
Yeah.
But yeah, this if you can play a 0 on turn 2. Feels so good because you're attacking the 2/2 haste that turn. You're then it's got power, so it's going to get bigger next turn. Plus, you're going to spit out another one next turn, most likely. It's listen, it's not amazing in every deck. I'd say its best home is blue-red because you have that card velocity to keep casting multiple spells. I don't love it in the straight up red aggro decks, because you're just going to run out of spells too quickly. But yeah, I think if you're like blue-red with some cantrips and a low curve, it's really, really powerful. I think the flurry mechanic was quite a good one for cube, actually. There's also Sage of the Skies, which is pretty solid.
That was quite good, yeah.
Yeah, that's the 2 and a white, 2/3 flying lifelink. When you cast it, if you cast another spell this turn, you copy it. Like 3 mana for 2/3 flying lifelinks is really powerful. And yeah, again, great. Plays great with the any sort of 0 you can get into your deck. Just makes these cards so much more powerful. But this is also really good. You know, you can, if you play it on like turn 5 with a 2-drop, that's a really good turn.
Yeah, very, very solid. Yeah. I like the fact they actually got around to keywording play 2 spells a turn. That does seem like something sure. that they had been kind of building towards. Like, for me, in my more kind of like janky end, like I really like Tevil, the balance scale. That's the 1 and a Sultai 4/4 that kind of goes in the Insidious Root style deck. It does everything. It mills you cards, and then when you cards leave your graveyard, you make a 2/2 zombie. So that definitely one for more slower cubes, and if you're really trying to do the Insidious Roots deck. But that was a cool one for me. The next set of the year, I think for some people, favorite set of all time. For some people, it was the turning point in their relationship with Magic the Gathering.
Some people started building a Boomer Cube.
Yeah. Seeds were planted, yeah. Our third set of the year is obviously Universes Beyond Final Fantasy, the first legal Universes Beyond set. Like, we've done a whole episode about Universes Beyond. We're not going to sit here and we'll complain a little bit, but not for like... That is not the main topic of this episode. We're going to just keep the ball rolling and kind of keep chatting on. But like, James, like we know people who love Final Fantasy, and they loved this set. I think it's fair to say we were in the camp who have not that same level of fondness for this IP, just like because it hasn't been part of like the media we have consumed. Like, as not the biggest fan of Final Fantasy, how did you find the draft set? Like, did you find it flavorful? Did you find that kind of like you got a sense of what was going on from the cards or anything like that? Kind of like how did it land for you?
Yeah, the limited format was really good. The themes all worked pretty well. There's a lot of different stuff you can do. There were a lot of like interesting build-around-y cards. The limited format was actually like one of the best, maybe my favorite of the year. I know a lot of people have it as like an all-time best.
That's good.
Not quite fair, but it's I really enjoyed drafting this. Flavor-wise, obviously, it didn't hit for me, but like, you know what? Neither did Aetherdrift. You know, it's fine, whatever. I think, yeah, I'd like it if they made more like Magic sets, which felt like Magic sets used to, but that's not all the sets we get now. It's okay. I'll engage with the bits that I like, and the draft format was good. I think we got a couple of cool cards for Cube, and yeah, they were just. It felt like they put a lot of thought into these designs. There were a lot of interesting and unique designs, sort of design space explored here. So I'm all for that. I did honestly feel like with some of the sets this year, like it felt like they put a lot more effort into making some of them interesting and unique than others, you know, like this compared to like Aetherdrift, for example, or I mean, we're not even going to talk about Spiderman yet, but
we're getting to it.
It felt like there's a lot more effort was put into this one, you know.
Yeah, I'd agree. From my end, this set had a few like big positives. Like I thought, like from speaking with people who love Final Fantasy, the flavor for them was there. Like I personally did like summons as a mechanic. It's a way of it's effectively turning sagas into creatures. That was quite cool. I like that as a mechanic. I think that's something that I would like to see them bring back. I thought they worked pretty well. There's some cool, obviously, like individual cards, which we'll kind of get onto in a moment. For me, like the main downside of this set wasn't actually anything to do with the set. It was just like the secondary market imploding afterwards. Like, I don't want to know how much collector booster boxes got for in the end, but that was kind of a bit of a miserable part of the year, if I'm honest with you. Just like I think it was like thousands or something, that kind of stuff. Like what would you write? Like thousands for collectible resources. It's just wild, and like that was kind of the first time that Magic as a game has really had like the Pokemonification, where you have people coming in to just buy and hold product, which is it's not my vibe in the slightest. And like that work for me was it's not the set's fault. This is one of the, I think it might still be the most popular, most successful set of all time. I think it was the most successful set of all time at release in terms of how much it had sold. So obviously, on all metrics, it did very, very well. And there's some cool cards which we'll get onto in a moment, but just like that was a flip side that kind of came out of this, and yeah, it's worth mentioning because I don't know, we have a podcast talking about Magic and I kind of want to talk about it. So
yeah, for sure. Do you want to know a really sad, sympathetic story? Apparently all the scalpers who came in for Final Fantasy all bought loads of Spiderman and all lost all their money.
Yes!
Don't you just feel so bad for the guys?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was great. It obviously it's ridiculous the amount of money that stuff goes for, and we don't want scalpers part of our game. It's just crappy parasitic behavior. No one needs that. On the other hand, like, I don't get that exercised about collector boosters being expensive, because they're not something you need to play the game, you know?
No, that is very true.
They're there for their scarcity in a lot of ways, right? Like, that's what collectability is at the end of the day. I don't know. I think I'm more bothered about the price of the regular versions of the cards that people need to play the game than about the price of the promos.
Well, that was the other thing that changed with, or kind of started with Final Fantasy, is because it was a Universes Beyond set, even though it was standard legal, it was a premium set or some nonsense where packs were more expensive in general. And just like a basic level of entry was more expensive with Final Fantasy, with the egregious price gouging of the collectibles on top of that as well. Generally not a great situation. No one wants to be paying, like, shrinkflation, hooray, we all love it. And yeah, I definitely felt that more this year. Like, I definitely bought less individual like packs of Magic this year than I think any year. The only pre-releases I've done have been the 3 in-universes ones. Maybe on one night out I drunkenly bought a booster pack, but I think generally that's been my booster pack consumption this year. I've been buying singles, I've been doing cube, had a great time doing that, but just them getting more expensive and me not caring about half the sets this year has been tricky.
It's fine. Everyone makes misbad decisions when intoxicated. It is just to feel bad that like pre-release is now randomly like 40% more expensive, you know?
Yeah, that really sucks. Just like, I love pre-releases. Pre-release is like, after Cube is my favorite way to play Magic. Is during pre-release, like playing with the new cards, playing with a bunch of cool people. I love pre-release. It's awesome. And like, if the Final Fantasy 1 had been the regular price, there's a world where I may have done it. But I was already kind of going into it being like, I'm not really fussed by Final Fantasy. Oh, it's more expensive. Pfft, no, as kind of out of principle, like that kind of thing. Like, but yeah, let's talk about some cards though, because there was some very cool cards in this set. Probably like the strongest card in the year, would you say? With VV Ornitier, 1 blue and a red legendary creature, 0/3. You can pay 0, add X mana in any combination of blue or red, where X is VV Ornitier's power. Activate only during your turn and only once each turn. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1 counter on VV Ornitier. It deals 1 damage to each opponent. Seems really good with Corey Steelcutter, actually. But I think that was the problem. But like Corey Steelcutter, also banned in Standard James. From a power level point of view, strongest card of the year, would you say?
Certainly up there. It's one that scales really well with the power level of your cube as well.
Yes.
It's you can do some really disgusting things with this when you have some explosive acceleration, you know. And it can be it has that tension, right, of it's a card which wants you to put it in a storm adjacent deck. Well, not that that's the only place it works, but like it's sort of what it's telling you to do, right? And but you don't want to put a 3-mana creature in that deck that they can point removal spells at. So it has that tension, but like it has the power level to justify it. You know, it can do some really disgusting stuff. I also, as always, when they miss things and put in mistakes that they constructed, I think it's fun for Cube. VV with Soul Cauldron is a lot of fun at Cube.
Damn.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really you can do some really gross things with that. As standard players are fully aware of. I think that was I know that ruined standard for like half a year, so
Yes.
sorry to bring it up. But
People have just got over it, James.
in Cube, it's great.
Yeah. But Final Fantasy definitely had some other really cool cards for Cube. Like I think probably the most played card from Final Fantasy is probably just Starting Down. Like it's the upgraded City of Traitors. No, City of Brass. That probably sees a lot of play everywhere. I think the only reason I don't have it in my cube is because I never got round to buying one. But a fantastic card that should just see play in a bunch of different cubes. For me, I really enjoyed Jumbo Cactula. I am realizing that all the ones that I have added to the list are all just commander adjacent cards or feel more commandery. But this is 7 mana, 1/7. That when it attacks, it gets plus 9,999 plus 0 until end of turn. This is a very silly Magic card, James. And I'm here for it. I'm very glad that I added this in brown strong arm, stout arm, like the lad that throws things. So you throw 10,000 points worth of damage at your opponent. That's a lot of fun.
It sounds sick, yeah. There's it's like anytime there's stupid numbers on a Magic card, you'll find some way to abuse it, you know. Because even if you can just give it trample, you know, that's game over on attack.
No, exactly. And the other thing as well that this set gave us, also gave us Tifa Lockhart, 1 and a green, 1/2 legendary creature, human monk with trample and landfall. Whenever land you control enters, double Tifa Lockhart's power until end of turn. So this and VV added a new deck to the Mitgo Vintage Cube. They were trying out like a Power Matters deck for a while. It ended up a bit too all in, I think, is the fair way to say, James, where they were running like Invigorate, like the free green spell that like it's free if you give your opponent like 4 life or something, but it gives a creature +4/+4, I want to say. Like, so there was some turn 1 or 2 kills with Tifa Lockhart, that kind of stuff, as well as just making an obscene amount of mana with VV. Like, this seems like a good place to talk about that deck, James. But kind of, how did you find that Powers Matter deck played out in higher powered level cubes anyway? Because it was tested in the Mitgo Vintage Cube. That was kind of the first place we saw it. And like, how do you think it played?
So it's quite bad. I think. Sorry, it is. I think the thing they're doing with the Mitgo Vintage Cube, which and I don't mind as an approach, is they have all the good decks, and then each season they're like adding a package where it's all like maybe like quite a lot of cards to support a theme, and the theme's like not very good, but you can make it work. If you put the effort in. They sound
very much like me every time I make an update to my cube, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Play these bad werewolves, James. You love this.
Yeah. So for a couple of iterations, it was the Power Matters thing, which to me is like in the worst spot of really bad and also not that cool. But obviously that's a very like personal preference thing. But whereas this time round, I only got a chance to do like 2 drafts since it's gone up again. But this time round, they've put in all the like discard matters stuff with like Survival and Hogak and Benjvine and
that's cool.
Root Wallers and like that Marauding Mako you were talking about is in, Monument to Endurance is in, all that stuff. So that I am going to like, I said done 2 drafts. In the second draft, I like second pick Survival of the Fittest because can't stop me, and I've stopped trying to win so much. and I had a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, I think that's the approach now, is that there's the same repertoire of good decks, and then there's like one wild card package thrown in. So for a while it was Power Matters. I mean, the Power Masters thing I actually never saw work, whereas the discard thing definitely can work. But maybe it's just because no one tried it that much, you know? But yeah, it's certainly not very powerful.
No, I think where I kind of left off on it was that I think it was cool that they were doing something like that, and like, I think it could work at VV doesn't work at a lower power level, but I think everything else kind of does. And wasn't there a set there was a card... There's a card from a recent set review that I described as a bad VV, so maybe you can...
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you don't need to invigorate VV for it to be good. Just cast some spells, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, I guess the one good side is that it brought Berserk back into the Vintage Cube, so I'm always here for that anyway. But yeah. It was at least a way... It was at least, like, for me, a while it might not have hit in its current... in its first iteration, I think there is definitely something there for people, and, like... Yeah, that was something that we got from Final Fantasy, so that was a plus I didn't want to touch on. The next set, I really enjoyed. The next set was Edge of Eternities. We headed to space! This set was relatively new for Magic. We were in... what was it? The Final Frontier? No, wrong IP. How did you find our first foray into Deep Space, James, when it came to a Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Certainly, there seemed to be a little more world building going on here than there was with Aetherdrift and the like. So yeah, I thought it worked well. And they, you know, some of that came across in the cards, I think. I think thematically it was pretty good. In terms of limited set design, I think it was like fine but uninspired. You know, all the mechanics felt kind of safe, I'd say. And like the spacecraft station thing was just pretty mediocre, you know.
I'm saying they're all crap. Station I think might be one of the most disappointing mechanics of all time. In the set, I think it played better than my initial thoughts of it were, because you had things like Warp, where you put a thing in, where a thing would come in, you could tap it to station something, and then the Warp thing would bugger off, kind of like Evoke, basically. So in this set specifically, and also I think in this set specifically, I think Station mechanically in set draft was fine, but everywhere else I hate it so much.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think, and Warp is like just kind of an Evoke variant, really, isn't it? Yeah, it's all right. But yeah, it didn't feel like I thought there were a lot of like very cool individual cards in the set.
Yes,
but I think
I would agree.
the like themes that existed in the set were not very interesting.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, oddly, for a set about space, like some of the cards we got from the set are more for like there was two cards specifically I want to touch on for like the lands deck. First, we had Icetel Explorer, 2 green for a 2/4 Insect Scout. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. You may play lands from your graveyard and landfall whenever a land you control enters mill a card. Like this, while not the strongest card of the year, it might be up there in terms of one of my favorite cards of the year. Like the fact that you could do the fact that Strip Mine was on the bonus sheet is incredibly rude. But you could do that is wild. But yeah, Icetel Explorer I thought was great, James. What's been your how's it played for you? Like 4 mana is a bit pricey, but yeah, how's it played for you in Cube?
Yeah, I think it's really good. Listen, obviously it's a lot of mana. They can just kill it. But if it lives and you get to do the thing, like this is kind of what you need from that effect now. Because actually 1 land a turn out of the graveyard is oftentimes just not enough to really move the game in the direction you want to. You know, if you're trying to do the strip mine thing, it's often not enough. They're progressing their game, they're casting their spells, and if they keep hitting land drops for a couple of turns, you might just fall too far behind, and it doesn't matter that you're running them out of mana because you're too far behind. Whereas the extra land drop really like lets you turn the corner, you know, it makes you like actually make progress. Yeah, and then so I think it's a really good update for that effect. It's like I like that it has 4 toughness as well, and it's nice having these effects on creatures a lot of the time because sure they're more vulnerable, but also makes them a lot more tutorable for green decks, which is this is if you're putting this card in a deck, it's probably quite an important piece. Like you don't put this card in your deck without a good reason, so having ways to find it is going to be pretty important.
Yeah, this kind of it just did everything that we wanted. Yeah, as you are so right on the additional land plus the graveyard. Like you can really, this triggers so much landfall. Even if you don't have the strip mine, if you have Omnath or anything else that wants you to be playing a bunch of lands a turn, I don't know, maybe a Tifa Lockhart, James. You can really go hand with this. Like this in the fetch land is just so much landfall. It's kind of mad. But another card I want to touch on from this set that I really liked was Baloth Prime. 3 and a green for a 10/10. Enters tapped with 6 stun counters on it, and whenever you sack a land, create a tapped 4/4 green beast creature token and untap this creature. And it has 4 sack a land, you gain 2 life. So this was on like a redundant Titania. And this, like these 2 cards, along with a card we'll get onto when we get into Avatar, have really kind of, I feel they've really kind of pushed the lands deck to being more of a thing. Like I saw it being like the lands deck has been around for a while, but I saw this to like be quite strong when Power Cube came to Arena. I thought it was very good. Like I don't think Baloth Prime was in that build, but like lands feels more like a legit deck now after this year, and because of cards like Ice Still Explorer and Baloth Prime. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I think this is actually a really important printing for the high power level cubes. I know it's a bit harder to get excited about new printings when really what they're doing is providing redundancy. And yeah, listen, this is worse than Titania. Sure, it's cheaper, but Titania gets a land back, which is such a big upside, and it makes the tokens untapped. But having this in as well as Titania means it's much more of a coherent plan that green decks can aim for. You can take that Zervan Orb or that Safekeeper, and they're actually worth speccing on a lot more of the time because you're going to have something to do with it a lot more of the time. And this is honestly, in the higher power level cubes, this is kind of the sort of lands payoff you need, rather than too much durdling around with Crucible of Worlds type stuff. This just kills you. This puts so much power into play. If even if it's on turn or you've not got any more lands in play at all, and none of them are fetch lands, nothing else mattered. You just have this and a Zervan Orb. It's 16 power, right? Yeah, and some of them will be fetch lands, or you can, or you'll play it with more lands in play. And listen, yeah, sure, it's bad for you if they find a sweeper or something, but this is, yeah, the Titania plus land sack outlet thing has been like one of Green's more powerful angles for a while, I think, and giving that a little bit of redundancy is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I really like that deck. We should touch on a card with a lot of hype when it came out. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain. 3 generic Tezzeret Planeswalker, 4 starting loyalty. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret. Very strong in Powered Cube. 0, untap target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a counter on it. -3, search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. And -7, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 3+1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. So obviously in Powered Cube, this had a lot of hype when it was printed, and I know the wife was trying to work out how this, like, which deck this goes into best in things like Legacy and Vintage and such. How have you found this play in Powered Cube? Because obviously being able to tutor up your most powerful artifacts, we love. We are still very happy this does not search for Time Vault, which is great. But yeah, in the cubes you've played, how do you think it's played?
I think it's fine. So, yeah, it doesn't search for Time Vault, but I think this gets way better if you're in a cube with Time Vault, because then it is a Vault combo piece, which also does a bunch of other stuff in your artifact deck. Most cubes don't run Time Vault. If you're in a cube without Time Vault, but you do have, but you are a powered cube, I think it's pretty solid. It's very much a sort of the rich get richer card, you know. Like it's busted if you have other bust. It does good things if you have busted cards if you have busted mana accelerants in your deck. I don't think it's like I wouldn't be shocked if in a few years it was getting cut from some of the powered cubes. So you know,
I could see that.
Like I think it's fine, but it's it feels like quite reliant on having specific cards to pair with it, you know, and not in a super interesting way, because a lot of the things that the card tells you to do, like putting the counters on the creatures and whatnot, that's not what the card's about, right? That part doesn't actually come up that much. It's more just about like searching for and untapping your very powerful mana rocks. Which is fine. It can make a lot of mana. I've got it in my powered cube at the moment. It might stay there, but I'm not like super attached to it. You know.
You do have Time Vault though, specifically.
I do.
So I think...
Yeah. So I do have Time Vault, and I will probably at some point take it out because I have Time Vault. Because I have Time Vault, but no keys, and a lot of the other ways to untap it are a bit janky. And I think this is a bit good actually.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people started cutting it from their non-Time Vault cubes as well.
That's it. Was there anything else from Edge of Eternities that stood out to you?
So I think we got a couple of... There's actually a lot of cube cards in this set. There are a couple of blue cards in here, which I think are just going to be staples across a lot of cubes for a long time. So Consult the Star Charts is a really, really powerful card draw spell. This is the 1 blue for an instant. You look at cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of lands you control and put one of them in your hand, but you can kick it for an extra 1 blue. So it'd be 4 mana total, and if you kicked it, you get 2 of those cards. This is really good because this is like an updated Fact or Fiction. It's actually a lot more powerful than Fact or Fiction because it gives you that flexibility, right? If you can cast it on turn 2, if you just need to dig for something, or if you draw it late and you need something right now that turn, you might still just cast it for 2 mana because you want to be able to cast the card you draw, right? But it also has this powerful 4 mana card advantage mode. And the thing is, this just scales so well later into the game because most of the time, like, even if you're casting it for 4 mana, it won't be on turn 4, right? Because a lot of the time you play your cards that affect the board earlier and you save your card draw spell for later. And this just gets so much more powerful the longer the game goes because you look at so many cards. I'm expecting this to be around in a lot of cubes for a long time.
No, awesome. And what was the other blue cards you wanted to touch on?
Yes, the other one's Quantum Riddler. So I've just been seeing a lot of play in Modern, but very, very powerful in Cube as well. This is... and
it's $45.
Yeah, Modern players are weird.
Jesus. Okay. I opened one of these then. That's fun. I added that to the treat yourself. But as this card seems cool. But yeah. Is it actually quite strong then? Is what you say? Yeah.
It's really good. And you kind of don't have to do a lot of work is the thing. So it's 3 blue for a 4/6 creature with flying. When it enters, you draw a card. But as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand, if you would draw 1 or more cards, you draw that many cards plus 1. But you can also warp it for 1 blue. So that's you cast it, it enters, but at the end of the turn, you'll exile it and you can cast it again. So you'll sort of evoke it, but instead of sacrificing it, it sort of goes on an adventure, as it were. This is just like on turn 2, if you want to warp, if you have time to warp this, it's weird. You can sort of think it's sort of like actually casting something like a Night's Whisper, like a draw 2, because you draw 2 cards and one of them is a Quantum Riddler, which you're going to cast
that's cool,
later,
actually.
right?
Yeah, I guess that's cool. Yeah.
is sort of the way I'd think about that. Plus, sometimes you get some extra singes because it is still a creature entering and whatnot. But it is a good thing to cast on turn 2, and then the 5 mana version is great as well, because often by the time you cast it, you've pretty much emptied your hand, and then you're getting 2 cards on the way in. And it's absolutely huge. It's a 4/6. It's really hard for them to kill. If it sticks around, you'll play out your spells. You'll get low on cards again, then your draw step will net you more spells. It's just one of those cards where it's great if it sticks around, but even if they kill it, you got value,
Okay, nice. Yeah. As I said, I added this to my treat yourself cube, but maybe it should actually go in my normal powerful level cube. That's cool. All right. Let's move on to what I think is is definitely the worst set of the year. Worst set of all time?
I think it's my worst set of all time. Although I suppose I wasn't around during Homeland, so I don't know. But
yes.
Certainly, I think is the worst set as far as I'm concerned since I've been playing Magic.
I'd agree, and that's not from a we don't like Spider-Man point of view. Like actually, I am of all the Universes Beyond sets this year as a theme. I am most ambivalent about Spider-Man. I have no strong feelings for or against, but just as a set, this was a garbage fire. We know now that effectively the set's only 180 cards. Originally, it was only 100. There were no commons or uncommons or something like that, and they had to quickly basically it was going to be a Assassin's Creed style set where it was going to be boost packs of 7 cards or 7 or 10 cards. But everyone hated that when Assassin's Creed came out, so they're like, quickly, let's make this draftable, which seems like the worst decision because, I mean, from a money point of view, it probably made them some cash. But this was a dreadful draft environment, James. So let's talk about that specifically before we kind of get on to the actual some of the bits on the set. Kind of how did you find it from a play point of view? Did you even play that much of it?
Oh, I did one draft, but I think I watched a couple more, and then I decided that one was actually enough. It was really bad. So it was being a guild set, right? So there's only 5 playable color pairs to start off with, but then they made red so ridiculously weak that you basically couldn't play it. So that leaves you with 3 playable decks, and that's the whole format. And then they were doing this because the cards pool's so small. They decided it wouldn't work very well for regular drafts. They did this pick 2 draft thing as well. So if you wanted to play it online, that's how you had to do it. I don't feel like I can really give a strong opinion on pick 2 drafts because I just haven't played enough of it. But I have heard a lot of other people saying that it does sort of lack the depth of real draft, which does sort of make sense to me because it's harder to pivot, right? But yeah, I think the big thing for me was this just felt like a sort of box ticking exercise, someone had got told that you've got to make this many more cards by next week, and these are just one they came up with. And even just there are so many Spider-Man cards, there's 40 Spider-Man in the set or something ridiculous like that, and it did just feel like they were filling it out. I don't know, it was, I can't remember who said this now, and I should do because I should credit them back because I thought it was a very well phrased point. Someone saying on a podcast I was listening to that it was Final Fantasy was a Magic set about Final Fantasy that felt like it was made by people who loved both things, and Spider-Man was a Magic set about Spider-Man that felt like it was made by people who loved neither.
I can see that.
I can kind of see where they're coming from with that. This felt really rushed, just lacking care, lacking creativity in the designs. yeah, just like they needed to churn out some cards because that's what the licensing agreement said, you know? And listen, like, I think it was originally meant to be a supplemental product. Like, I think they make kind of not great supplemental products all the time, and that's fine, and no one cares. People do care when it's a standard set, you know?
A standard set at premium pricing as well, because it's Universes Beyond.
Yeah.
No, I'd agree. And you touched on licensing agreement there. The other lovely thing we got with this set was that Arena has different cards now. Or no, Arena and Mitgo, the digital versions are different, which is just it's just a needless pain. Like, that was clearly something that someone overlooked, or they thought would be fine and they could work out and haven't been able to. So yeah, the digital versions are. I think even the mechanics are named differently. Like, it's not called web slinging; it's called something else. Yeah, the cards are different names, different artworks.
Yeah, I think it's called In Web or something on Arena.
Love that. Love that. And
yeah.
And again, if you like Spider-Man, cool. And I think from our end, it's more of a, well, we like Magic, and it's being disappointment when anything sucks. But just seeing like the line of failure, or like the points of failure, were so blatant and so obvious to everyone ahead of time. It's just frustrating, especially as for a lot of people, like, Spider-Man is a phenomenal onboarding tool for a lot of players. It is a great way of getting like new people into playing Magic, and for it to suck reflects badly on the game, I guess. Like, I think like the other part of this as well is they haven't really learned from this mistake, because it's going to be the same thing with Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles was going to be a similar set that they've crammed into a standard set, and I think basically what people have learned is like yeah, as James touched on, people drove up the prices of collector boosters for Final Fantasy. The market has fallen out of Spider-Man, and people have got burnt from that. So where we end up in the future, I don't know. But my gut is that the hype or the damage done by Spider-Man will be so great that it will affect people's opinions on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before it even comes out.
Yeah, I mean, without meaning to sound too negative about it, I am kind of glad that the sales and everything seem to have really crashed with this, because I think I'm hoping from this that Wizards will hear that they can't just churn out rubbish like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
People expect people to keep buying it. Because this felt like they were really reining it in and just it's a popular IP, we'll make loads of money anyway. It doesn't matter if we actually
try,
build a good set. Yeah. And I'm not trying to like dunk on the people who worked on this set too much, because clearly they didn't have the time and resources to do this properly, right?
Yeah, it's again the people at fault of here were not anyone who designed this set, is the management who made the decision to change stuff. Like, it's a managerial issue. In terms of cards, like, we've got Norman Osborn that flips into Green Goblin down as a cool card. Like, I like that card. I don't think I've played with it yet. Like, it's like I've added it to my cube, to my treatment stuff cube. It looks really cool. I want to give it a go. Like, have you had a chance to actually play with that one yet, James?
I have played with it. I think it's fine. I think it's good. It's sort of like 90% of the games, it's just your like Lutriel core type thing, and that's fine, and that does the thing. And then, but like the 10% of the games where you flip it, the flip side is actually really cool and unique and does some powerful stuff, And it like works well the front side, right? Because you can hit them, discard a card, flip it, cast that card for cheap. And then there is like some interesting combo potential with like an Underworld Reach and this, and a Frantic Search does some powerful stuff with that discount. So yeah, I think this is a card that will stick around. This was, not a lot of good designs in this set, in my opinion, but this I think is one.
There was one. So mechanically, I really liked Mayhem. This is Mayhem is kind of like the modern day version, like the fixed Madness. It's effectively Madness, but you don't get around timing restrictions. and I would like to see what they like. Basically, I like the fact that they have made Mayhem. A couple of the cards are cool, but it's basically I want to see the next set with Mayhem. I want to see like Mayhem in Innistrad, basically. That would be sick. So for me, that was like the main thing I took from Spider-Man's like Mayhem's cool. Do more of that in the future. Our final set of the year is also another Universes Beyond. Obviously, the set of choice at the moment, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'll be honest with you, James. I have not touched any of this set. I have not. Have I opened a booster pack? I think I've ordered some singles. I think I've ordered a couple of singles. I ordered the one single I wanted for my cube. That's what because Badger Mole Cub is still too expensive. But what's been your take on like how has Avatar: The Last Airbender been for you, James? Have you done have you drafted it much?
Yeah, I did some drafts of this. It's been good fun. I think I've done maybe 10, 15 drafts, something like that on Arena. It's been good, actually. But listen, I do kind of have sort of Universes Beyond fatigue at this point. I'd like them to make a Magic set for me, please. But having said that, this I think is a pretty good draft format. It's specifically the bending mechanics all work. They're all sort of things that work on their own, but get better when you build around them and sort of feel satisfying when you get to maximize them, you know? So I think that's like a really big design win because, when you have like 4 separate sort of flagship mechanics for the set, if I think them all working or them all sort of landing is really positive. And there's some cool designs. The limited format is pretty good. I think like there's a few color balance issues. And I would say like the rares are a little bit better than I would ideally like them to be. Like there are quite a lot of games where, I'm doing a cool synergistic thing, you're doing a cool synergistic thing, and then someone's there is not answered and all the synergy stuff becomes irrelevant, every format has a couple of bombs which feel like that, right? But this just has, I think, slightly more than you would want. But having said that, I've enjoyed drafting the set. I'm probably done with it now. I think I've sort of had my fill of it, but it's been solid. Not many complaints, but I would like to go back to having some Magic sets, and I'm very hyped for Lorwyn.
Yeah, Lorwyn's going to slap. We should touch on Badger Mole Cub because I do think I haven't been able to. I haven't got my hands on one yet because it's currently still sitting at $50. So, and I haven't done a proxy order in a hot minute. But 1 green 2/2 creature Badger Mole. When it enters Earthbend 1, which is target land you control, becomes a 0/0 creature with haste that's still a land. Put a counter on it. When it dies or is exiled, return to the battlefield tapped. And it has whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. So it's a mana dork, but the gist is that Earthbend we think is quite strong because it does cool things with fetch lands and strip mine, which is kind of hot. Have you had a chance to play with Badger Mole Cub yet, James?
I've certainly lost to it in a variety of formats. I lost to it in Limited, and then I actually played some Standard on Arena for the first time in many years. It was great. I played the Is It Lessons deck that Seth Manfield won Worlds with. That was just why I just looked at that deck list and it looked so sick to me that I thought I'd fire up the old Arena and burn some wild cards. But so there's a very good Badger Mole Cub in Standard as well. So I played against it there. I've not played with it yet, but Earthbending as a mechanic certainly does the things you want it to do. I've got a much slower engine going in Limited a couple of times with the common dual lands. You can sack to draw cards in that format. So if you Earthbend onto them, you can sack them and then they come back and then you draw more cards, which is great. Badger Mole Cub can sort of do that stuff in a much more explosive way in Cube, right, with stuff like fetch lands and strip mines. And that seems really powerful. And you're getting it on an already very serviceable card, right, which, it adds mana on its own, but if you have other mana dorks around, it's going to double them up as well. So this seems really good. I like the idea of, I feel like there's some combo nonsense you could get up to with, Life Death.
Yeah. Well, are we using the life side that turns all
exactly? You never use life, right? But if you have Badgermole Cub and you cast life, and all your lands tap for double until end of turn, that's kind of cool.
You've turned life into a high tide.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. Nice. I like that. Yeah. This seems like a very cool card, and because our set review is so recent, I don't think we're going to do too much in some of the other cards. But yeah, from an individual card point of view, I thought this set was quite cool. But yeah, I agree with what you said about Universes Beyond fatigue, if that makes sense. Like, we're kind of coming on to like how the year has been in general, I guess, and kind of like one of the main takeaways from the year is that I feel this year has been quite freeing for me because I felt like I haven't had to be as invested in every set, if that makes sense. Like there's more Magic than ever. That just means there's so much to keep up with. Like I'm glad that I like doing the set reviews, and I hope everyone listening enjoys listening to them because I like looking at a set, seeing what cool cards for Cube there is, and then if I'm not vibing with it, moving on with my day. Like for me, I just kind of basically checked out during Final Fantasy because it didn't vibe with me. But that meant that effectively I had like a nice 3-month gap between Tarkir and Edge of Eternities. That felt like a normal release window again, and it was quite nice. Kind of like how have you found that this year, James? It's just in terms of just like the never-ending release schedule and all this kind of stuff, of just constant cards, constant hype. Like I can't be alone in feeling that it can be a bit much at times.
Yeah, I think they make a lot of releases. And listen, for a long time I've been not engaging with like a lot of the supplemental product stuff they produce, right? So it's it doesn't feel like a huge step to skip some of the main sets as well. Certainly something I did with Spiderman, and I imagine the Tursles will be similar. I think I'm comfortable with it. I'm just going to engage in the stuff that I enjoy, and I'm hopeful for the Strixhaven next year. I think would be cool. Lorwyn, I'm psyched for, and then I'm probably not a coincidence that I've taken up pre-modern this year, to be honest. And honestly, I think this is probably part of the reason why Cube is getting a lot more popular as well, right? Is that people want the ability to sort of customize the draft experience a little bit more, play with the cards they like, build a environment that vibes with them. And Cube lets you do all of those things. So, and this is why we like Cube, right? We don't...
Yeah.
Like, much as we don't like the UB stuff or whatever, or some of the Universes Beyond stuff, when we're playing Cube and we're building our cubes, we get to pick what we like and ignore the stuff we don't. I think we're quite lucky. We're not in the same position as constructed players where their favorite format is all of a sudden full of like cards that you think are kind of miserable. We get to pick what's in our format. And that's why Cube's great.
Exactly, and it does go both ways. Like, if you love Final Fantasy, you can build a Final Fantasy set cube and play it forever. Like, that is like, I think this does come on to nicely. They're kind of like, this has probably been the best year for Cube in terms of I think Cube has got a lot more popular because people love Magic and they're looking to tailor the way they enjoy it. And if you don't like half of it nowadays, you can if the best thing about Cube is that you make the environment that you want to live in. Also, this year we've had Powered Cube come to Arena, so it's more accessible. More people have had access to it for the first time, and that is phenomenal. Yes, Mitgo is there. Yes, Mitgo is there, but it just being on Arena brings so many more people to it, and also just brings more people making content about it. Like more people are talking about Cube, more people are watching things about Cube because it just it looking nicer and being more of an acceptable viewing experience. Streamers are going to play it more because it's on Arena, all this kind of stuff. In-person tournaments have got bigger. Like Q Clash has got bigger. cube cons and all, like, and there's so many more that we're just seeing popping up now. It's becoming more of a natural thing for people to kind of start designing cubes and start getting cube groups going forward. Like, that's been really awesome to see over the last, like, 12 months or so.
Yeah, for sure. I think there has been quite a big shift in that. I've always thought of Cube as a sort of Magic that people start playing once they've already been playing Magic for many years, and it's kind of the end point, right? Where it's like,
the end boss.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I just get to make a draft environment with the cards I like. Phenomenal. Yeah, that's Cube. Whereas I think that's changing now. Like at Cube Clash, I played against a couple of different people who are like, who'd been playing Magic, less than a year, and were coming to a big Cube event.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think you wouldn't have got that a few years ago.
No, definitely, yeah. I guess the word is just getting out now, which is great. And like, yeah, from a personal point of view, I kind of touched on how I've been interacting with Magic this year. But like, I've really, like, for me, the thing I've enjoyed most about this year is playing different cubes. Like, I've played so many more different cubes this year than I have previously. Like, that's been awesome. Again, attending Cube Clash, but also like us in our play group have just started making more and doing more different things. Like, I started this year with one actual cube, and I'm finishing it with 3 on top of, like, we've been playing Auto Battler a bunch, the 4-player cube. Like, I've really enjoyed 4-player cube formats. They've been great this year. Auto Battler has been fantastic. Like, your trimmed down 4-player version of the Ornithopter cube has been awesome to do a lot. It means we can get things in when there's less people or midweek. I've really enjoyed that, and I think, like, yeah, like the next thing on my list is probably a 4-player cube, I think.
Nice. Yeah, no, 4-player cube's been great. And yeah, it's good to have the variety. Yeah, I think I've certainly spent in a lot more of the year, like a lot more of my energy into building cubes this year. Putting together Dual Commander Cube took a lot of like my creative energy this year. It's been a lot of fun. We'll do an episode on it in the new year, I think, sometime.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it comes back to, we are making the formats that we want to see. Again, we did a whole episode last week on me making a cube based on old cards that remind me of when I was young and sprinty and virile and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, like Cube lets you do that. And I just think that's going to continue more into 2026. Like, personally, I think it's more likely I make a couple more cubes than it is I attend a pre-release of a set I'm just not fussed by. And that is honestly just why Cube is Magic's best format, and I don't even think it's close. And if you're listening to this, it's likely that you think the same way. But talking of 2026, that's going to do it for our episode today, and do it for our year. As we're finishing up, I just wanted to thank you all very much for listening and very much for being here throughout 2025. Just want to wish you all a great holiday season, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. And James, thank you as well, man. It's been a pleasure this year.
Yeah, thanks. Same to you, and Happy New Year to all our listeners.
Yeah, thank you all very much for listening. We're going to take a week or two off, recharge the batteries, all that goodness. But until then, you all look after yourselves. You all have a great new year. You all take care. Give the podcast a 5-star review, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Until next time, it's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from James, and we'll see you all soon. Goodbye.